get up now about America and democracy. There is no America. There is no democracy. We no longer live in a world of nations and ideologies. The world is a college of corporations. The world is a business. I have chosen you to preach this event.
Well, hello and welcome. Welcome to this episode of Communist Theory 101. So today, we're going to explore a core concept in Marxist-Leninist theory, and that is the role of the state. And to understand communism and how it's different from other political ideologies, we must first grasp what the state is and how it functions within society. In a capitalist society, the state is not a neutral entity. It's not there to represent everyone equally. Instead, it exists to protect the interests of the ruling class. The bourgeoisie, or the owners of capital, Karl Marx argued that the state is a tool used by the ruling class to maintain their power and wealth. This means that the state enforces laws and policies that favor capitalists, keeps workers oppressed, and maintains the social order that benefits the wealthy. For example, when the workers strike for better wages or conditions, it's often the state, the police or military that intervenes to break up those protests and to defend the interests of the capitalists. The state's job is to keep the system of exploitation in place. But what happens when the working class or proletariat rises up and overthrows the capitalist system? Well, according to Marx and Lenin, this is where the dictatorship of the proletariat comes in. Now, when you hear the word dictatorship, it doesn't mean what you might be thinking. It's not about one person ruling over everyone. Instead, it refers to the working class holding state power to suppress the forming ruling class, the bourgeoisie, and to reshape society completely. This is a temporary phase. The dictatorship of the proletariat is needed to defend the revolution from counter-revolutionaries and to start transitioning society from capitalism to socialism. A key example of the dictatorship of the proletariat in action was the Russian Revolution of 1917, led by the Bolshevik Party under Lenin. Workers and peasants overthrew the Tsarist autocracy and later the provisional government, establishing a socialist state. Lenin and the Bolsheviks argued that the state was still needed in this period to fight off enemies like the White Army, which was supported by capitalist countries, and to organize society on socialist lines. The Bolshevik state took control of industry, land, and resources to benefit the workers and peasants rather than the capitalists. This was the dictatorship of the proletariat in practice.
Don't trust the liberals. They will betray you.
But Marxism-Leninism doesn't stop at just replacing one ruling class with another. In the long term, the ultimate goal is for the state to wither away. In a truly communistic society, class distinctions would disappear, and with it the need for a state. A state is needed to protect the interests of a class, but in a classless society, there would be no need for a state to reinforce those interests. This idea is closely tied to Lenin's work in State and Revolution, where he explains that the state will eventually dissolve once class antagonisms have been abolished and true socialist society is built. Under Lenin's leadership, the state was still very much in transition. After Lenin's death, Joseph Stalin took power in the Soviet Union. Stalin argued that while the state must eventually wither away, in the meantime, the state needed to be strong to protect socialism and to defend against the imperialist attacks. Stalin's policies of collectivization and industrialization were designed to strengthen the economy and to ensure success of socialism in one country. Mao Zedong, leading the Chinese Revolution, had a similar view. Mao focused on strengthening the state and mass mobilization to build socialism in China. Particularly during the Cultural Revolution, both Stalin and Mao recognized that the state was necessary in the transition period to protect the revolution, and to defend socialism from internal and external threats. In both the Soviet Union and China, the state played a major role in centralizing control over the economy and redistributing wealth. However, Marxist-Leninist theory emphasizes that the goal is always to use the state as a tool for transition. Eventually, the state should dissolve as class distinctions disappear, leading to a stateless communist society. And to summarize, the state in Marxism-Leninism plays a key role in the transition from capitalism to socialism. In the initial stages, the state is used by the working class to defend the revolution and build socialism. But in the long run, the goal is for the state to wither away as class society disappears. The state is an instrument for the working class to use, not an end in itself. And that, my comrades, will be the end of the video. And I do have some book recommendations for further reading if you are curious. Please take your time and even double read, take notes, join a reading club to better understand. I highly recommend. So number one recommendation is State and Revolution by Vladimir Lenin. This work explains Lenin's view of the state and its role in the revolution, including his theory of the dictatorship of the proletariat and the withering away of the state. And the second book would be The Communist Manifesto by Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels, the foundational text of Marxism, which introduces the idea of class struggle and the historical role of the state. And number three would be Foundations of Leninism by Joseph Stalin. This book discusses Lenin's theory and the implementation of socialist policies under Soviet leadership, including the role of the state in socialism. Number four, On Practice by Mao Zedong. Mao's reflections on how theory must be connected to practical action and the role of the state in advancing socialist revolution. Those are 4 books that are directly connected to this subject here. They are not beginner books or beginner texts. And if you'd like a beginner book list, just go ahead and let me know in the comments down below, and I'll most likely either comment and reply, or I will probably make a video. But thank you for watching. In future videos, we'll dive deeper in other key topics like socialism, imperialism, and the revolution. Stay tuned and keep studying.